Ever wonder why some engineers seem to easily climb the career ladder while others, just as talented, just as hardworking, stay stuck in the same role for years? Edmund Lau spent his career at Google and Quora trying to crack this code, and what he found will completely change how you think about engineering success. Here's the thing, this isn't another productivity hack book. Lau spent years at companies like Google and Quora, and he noticed something interesting. The engineers who got promoted fastest weren't the ones grinding 80-hour work weeks. They were the ones who had figured out something the rest of us were missing. So, what's their secret? Love breaks it down into this simple formula. Leverage equals impact produced divided by time invested. Sounds obvious, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Most engineers think about getting better by working harder or longer. But Love argues that there are only three ways to increase your leverage, and working more hours isn't one of them. You can reduce the time a task takes, increase the impact it produces, or, and this is the big one, shift to completely different activities that have higher leverage. Think about it this way, spending 2 weeks building a feature that gets used by 3 people versus spending those same 2 weeks on infrastructure that speeds up every deploy for your entire team. Same time investment, completely different impact. That's leverage thinking. Now here's something that's really stand out from the book. Love talks about optimizing for learning like it's a compound interest. And he's absolutely right. The more you know, the faster you can learn new things. But here's what most people miss. You need to be smart about what you learn. Love suggests spending about 20% of your time learning. That might sound like a lot, but think about it. If you are not growing your skills, you are getting worse compared to everyone else who is. The book gives practical advice too. Seek out the toughest code reviewers, jump into new code bases, work with people smarter than you. And speaking of learning environments, Love breaks down 6 factors to look for when choosing where to work. Fast growth, good training, openness to questions, fast pace, smart people, and autonomy. But here's where the book gets really practical. Ever feel like you are drowning in tasks? Love's approach to prioritization is brilliant in its simplicity. Keep one master to-do list, not scattered sticky notes or random emails. Everything goes in one place your brain can trust. Then ask yourself 3 questions constantly. How can I complete this faster? How can I increase the value this produces? Is there something else I should be doing instead that would create more value? These questions become automatic after a while, and they completely change how you approach your day. These books also talk about protecting your flow state, which honestly most workplaces are terrible at. Love suggests batching similar tasks and reducing context switching. When you are constantly jumping between different types of work, you are basically bleeding productivity. Now, let's talk about execution, because this is where the book gets into some really actionable stuff. Love is focused on iteration speed, and for good reason. The faster you can test ideas, get feedback, and make changes, the faster you learn and improve. Continuous deployment is one example he gives. Instead of these massive stressful releases every few months, you are pushing small changes constantly. When something breaks, you can fix it right away while the context is still fresh in your head. It's like difference between trying to remember what you did wrong on a test you took last month versus getting feedback on a problem you just solved. The measurement piece is huge too. Love makes it point that if you can't measure something, you can't improve it. But here's the catch. You have to pick the right metrics. He gives this example of a team that measured number of bugs fixed and ended up pushing engineers to write buggy code so they could fix more bugs later. Instead, measuring number of outstanding bugs encourages quality from the start. Here's something they definitely don't teach in computer science classes. How to validate ideas early and estimate project accurate. Love emphasizes finding low effort way to test whether your ideas will actually work before you invest weeks building them. For estimation, the book gets into some psychology that's interesting. Most people anchor on the first number they hear, even if it's completely wrong. And we tend to give best case scenarios instead of realistic probability distributions. Love suggests saying something like, there's a 50% chance we'll finish in 4 weeks, 90% chance within 8 weeks, instead of just saying it will take 4 weeks. The mythical man-month concept is crucial here too. Adding more people to a late project often makes it later because communication overhead grows exponentially. It's counterintuitive. But sometimes the best thing you can do for a struggling project is to keep the team small. The final section of this book focuses on sustainable practices, and this is where Love really loves his experience. Code reviews, for instance, they are not just about catching bugs, they are about knowledge sharing, maintaining standards, and building collective ownership of the code base. Technical debt is another area where the book offers practical wisdom. Some debt is okay if you are meeting important deadlines, but you need to pay it back strategically. Focus on the debt with the highest interest rate, the stuff that's slowing you down the most. And here's something that really resonates. Investing in your team's growth isn't just nice to have, it's strategic. When your teammates are more effective, you can work on more interesting problems. When knowledge is shared across the team, you are not stuck being the only person who can fix certain systems. What makes the effective engineer special isn't that it has revolutionized new ideas. It's that Love has distilled years of experience into a framework that actually works. The leverage concept becomes a lens for evaluating everything you do. Should I automate this task? Should I refactor this code? Should I take this meeting? The leverage framework gives you a way to think about the decision systematically. The book is also refreshingly honest about trade-offs. Love doesn't pretend there are easy answers or magic bullets. Instead, he gives you tools for making better decisions about where to invest your limited time and energy. If you're an engineer who feels like you are working hard but not seeing the results you want, this book might just change how you think about your career. It's not about working more hours, it's about working on the right things. It's the right way with the right mindset. And honestly, that's a lesson worth learning.